If the Tennessee Titans do take a quarterback, I'll tell you why I'm leaning Cam Ward on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the code LockedOnNFL, all lowercase, to win $50 instantly after you play your first $5. On today's episode, it is our first mock draft Monday of the offseason. I have 5 mock drafts with 5 different results that I want to go over with you guys. And of course, we tackle the toughest question of the offseason. Should the Tennessee Titans draft a quarterback? And if they do, who should it be? Also, we got some wild mock drafts that don't include a quarterback that I want to talk about at the end of the show. Before we get into all of it, I do want to thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. You're not going to beat that anywhere else. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. And speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one, because this time of year, it's incredibly busy. There's news all the time, and I'm going to keep you up to date and as informed as a Tennessee Titans fan could be, with Monday through Friday content, bonus episodes as well. We got free agency around the corner, a lot of roster decisions, the draft, of course. And speaking of the draft, let's dive in to our first mock draft Monday of the year. But of course, with this first mock draft Monday, we have to look at the question of which quarterback the Tennessee Titans should take. Which quarterback do you want the Tennessee Titans to take? Because here's the reality. My opinion continues to be the same. I would prefer a trade back and drafting Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. That would be my preference. A trade back and then to draft one of those two players. That would be my number one option on the board for the Titans. But as I continue to say, if they feel they want to take one of these quarterbacks, if Mike Borgonzi, the new Titans general manager, if Chad Brinker, if Brian Callahan, if all of them are on board with one of the quarterbacks, then I'm fine with taking a quarterback as well. Is it my preference? No. But am I going to be angry if the Titans take a quarterback? Absolutely not. A quarterback can change the franchise if you hit right. Do I think either of these quarterbacks are good enough to be that guy? I'm not quite certain. I'm skeptical. But hey, the possibility of it being true, the possibility of the quarterback being a game changer makes me say, all right, well, I'm on board with that if that's what they want to do, even if it's not my number one preference. So with that being said, for me, tell me down in the comments, let me know on Twitter at TicTacTitans, on Instagram at Locked On Titans, on Facebook at Locked On Titans, and on TikTok at TikTok Titans. Which quarterback would you prefer? Now, I don't want to hear answers of, I don't want one of the quarterbacks. If the Titans are taking a quarterback and we knew for 100% positive that the Titans were taking a quarterback, which quarterback would you prefer? That's the question. Defense, trade back, none of that's on the table. They're taking a quarterback, number one. Which would you prefer? Curious to hear what you guys have to say, but for me, it's Cam Ward. For me, it's Cam Ward. And in the first mock draft that we look at here from Fox Sports, that's exactly what the Tennessee Titans do. It comes from Jason McIntyre. He says, quote, he talking about Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami. He turns 23 in May, has had 57 college starts. I expect the Titans to be much improved with him under center next year. Okay. All right. Obviously, Sheduer Sanders is on the board. He goes number 2 to the Cleveland Browns. Abdul Carter goes number 3 to the New York Giants. Will Campbell, number 4 to the Patriots. Travis Hunter, number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's a very likely outcome. Again, the Tennessee Titans very well could be looking at Cam Ward. Now, we go to Pro Football Network for a second mock draft here, and they have the Tennessee Titans taking Sheduer Sanders. says the Titans are in an interesting spot. Brian Callahan clearly needs a new name under center for his offense. His relationship with Will Levis is tumultuous at best, and he should have more than enough security to have Sanders develop for a year or two. I don't know if I agree that Will Levis's relationship is tumultuous or that Brian Callahan should have the security to develop Sanders for a year or two. I don't think I agree with either of those, but nonetheless, Sanders isn't a finished product. He's the most accurate quarterback in the class by a significant margin. He has to work within an NFL timeline, considering he survived poor protection in college throughout his career. His physical ceiling is lower than Cam Ward's, but the same clear frustrations Callahan has with Levis will be present with Ward, who, by any definition, is an old school gunslinger. And you know what? I agree with that. We're going to debate these two quarterbacks ad nauseum throughout the offseason leading up to the draft. And I am starting my scouting process like the all-22 film, not just watching them play on Saturdays, but diving into the tape to get a clear read of these quarterbacks, not just from what the scouting reports say or what I have thought of while watching them play on Saturdays, but truly going through the all-22 tape to get an idea of these quarterbacks, and we're going to discuss that. But immediately right on its face, the reason that I lean Cam Ward is because there's way more high upside with Cam Ward. He's got a way better arm, way more velocity. Accuracy, Sheduer Sanders is more accurate. But Cam Ward has way more velocity on his throws. He can make throws to the outside of the field. He can make every throw on the football field consistently. Downfield doesn't matter. And Sheduer Sanders' arm is good. His accuracy is good. But past about 40 yards, his deep ball does tend to kind of tail off. Fitting balls into certain windows at the NFL level, I don't think it's going to be a realistic thing for Sheduer Sanders. He has very, very average to below average arm strength, if we're honest. Now, again, the accuracy is there, but Cam Ward has that live arm, that cannon arm, the high upside arm. And Cam Ward is a much better mobile player. And you look around the NFL right now, and second reaction playmaking, making off-schedule plays. When the play breaks down, what can your quarterback do for you? That is the currency. Think about Jalen Hurts. Think about Josh Allen. Think about Jaden Daniels. Think about Lamar Jackson. Think about Patrick Mahomes. I mean, even some of the lesser mobile quarterbacks like Joe Burrow or CJ Stroud still have the ability to off-schedule playmaking, to make things happen when the play breaks down. So that's why, for me, I lean Cam Ward, because Sheduer Sanders is more accurate, more poised, doesn't make as many turnover-worthy plays. He is the safer player. But if you're drafting number one overall at the quarterback position, you got to go after somebody who can change your franchise and has the potential to be an elite quarterback. And I think when you look at the two players, Sanders is a safer option and a better fit in Callahan's system, but Cam Ward has the higher upside to be an elite game-changing quarterback. And I think if I'm taking a quarterback number one and I'm not very certain about either of them, and I'm skeptical of both of them, which is where I'm at, I would lean Cam Ward for the high-end upside right there. But again, let me know which quarterback you prefer if quarterback is the pick at number one. But let's continue, because now I want to look at a two-round mock draft that pairs one of the quarterbacks with another big need for the Tennessee Titans. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Growing your small business in 2025 comes down to how well you can hire. And let's face it, better hires start with smarter insights. That's where LinkedIn comes in. With the strongest hiring data available, LinkedIn helps you identify the right candidates, giving you the confidence to make the best decisions for your business. I've used LinkedIn Jobs myself, and I can tell you it's a game changer when it comes to hiring the right fit. Small businesses are wearing a lot of hats, so every hire is crucial. LinkedIn gets that. That's why they connect you with the best candidates using data you won't find anywhere else. In fact, 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn has helped them find high-quality candidates. I know from experience how important it is to make the right hiring decisions after watching the Titans make the wrong ones. Having access to insights like which skills candidates have and how they're connected to your network, that can help you feel confident when you have to pull the trigger. Hire smarter this year and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Today's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. It's playoff time, and if you're like me, you want to make the most of these final weeks of football action. That's where PrizePicks comes in. If you love football, you want a chance to win real money watching games, PrizePicks is the place for you. It's the best place to turn your sports opinions into cash with daily fantasy player projections. With PrizePicks, you simply pick more or less on player stats like total passing yards, rushing touchdowns, catches, for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money, and you can make your picks in less than 60 seconds. It's why PrizePicks has over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded. It's clear that people are loving PrizePicks. I'm going to play this weekend. Again, I'm looking at Jaden Daniels, over 200 passing yards. Maybe Travis Kelce, more than 4 catches. I think those are good picks. Here's a special offer for Locked On Titans listeners. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's PrizePicks. Run your game. Titans fans, let's continue today's Mock Draft Monday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about the 2 different quarterbacks. I can't wait to go down the scouting rabbit hole with these guys and debate their pros and their cons and who the Titans should be more interested in throughout the rest of the draft season. Again, I prefer a defensive player in Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, specifically in a trade back to allow someone else to come up and get one of these risky quarterbacks. But if the Tennessee Titans do take a quarterback, I don't have any control over who they take. If they do take a quarterback right now, the 3rd week of January, I would say I prefer Cam Ward's upside to Sheduer Sanders' consistency. Let's just say that. But moving forward, if the Titans did take a quarterback in the first round, what would the pairing look like? So I want to go to one of my favorite draft analysts, one of my top 3 trusted draft analysts in the NFL scouting ecosystem, and it's Dane Brugler from The Athletic. You're going to hear me lean on Dane Brugler quite a bit throughout this process. I really like his analysis. I really like his insight. The Beast at The Athletic is probably the best draft content I think that there is out there. But with that being said, do want to look at Dane Brugler's first mock draft for The Athletic. And, of course, he has the Tennessee Titans drafting Cam Ward with the first overall pick. So should be no shock there. Quite honestly, we just talked about multiple mock drafts that had the Tennessee Titans taking a quarterback. And I think the reality is with the Tennessee Titans quarterback situation, I think most mock drafts on our Mock Draft Mondays are going to include a quarterback at number 1, which is going to have me doing my own mock drafts to try to take a look at different scenarios. But here is what Dane Brugler, who, again, I think is one of the best media scouts in the entire world, said about the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward at number 1. Quote, "The incoming general manager in Tennessee will inherit a great opportunity. Either invest in a quarterback at number 1 or trade the pick to a quarterback-needy team. Any other outcome would be surprising. I agree. You either take quarterback at number 1 or you trade back. If the Titans opt not to take a quarterback, the ideal scenario would be to trade back 2 spots with the Giants. The Titans wouldn't receive close to what the Bears got in compensation from the Panthers for the number 1 pick 2 years ago, but they would gain additional draft capital and still be in position to take Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter at number 3. However, in this mock, the Titans decide Ward is an upgrade over their current quarterback situation. His loose play style won't be for everyone, but his ability to create explosive plays and gradual improvements he's shown each year are promising aspects of his profile. Some scouts compare Ward's upside to that of Steve McNair, which should be music to the ears of fans in Nashville." Listen, I hate to do this. I really do hate to do it. I'm not going to lie to you at all. I hate to do it because I know what it means. I know how it sounds. But also, we compared Malik Willis to Steve McNair. There was, the lower level college football, the playmaking ability, the toughness, the genuine humble attitude, all of that. Malik Willis had those same vibes of Steve McNair when we were being overly optimistic, and that proved out to be absolutely stupid and absolutely silly. Look, Malik Willis is better than I gave him credit for throughout most of his career, but he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's not Steve McNair. He's never going to win a co-MVP or lead a team to a Super Bowl. He turned into a solid NFL backup, which is more than I gave him credit for, but we can't take that too far and act like, those Steve McNair comparisons were ever really fair or true. That's just a reality. But that is the comparison people are making with Cam Ward. You can see it. Watch him play. The way he can avoid sacks in the backfield with pressure on him. The way he plays with toughness. The way he continues to play make and keeps his eyes downfield. One thing I could say about Cam Ward is he's not quite the runner that you think he is. His rushing yards totals, his explosive ability as a runner maybe isn't quite what it is, but he uses his athleticism and mobility to make plays when it matters most and to keep plays alive and to move around. I would compare it to Patrick Mahomes. Like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the same mobility that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jaden Daniels have. Patrick Mahomes isn't quite on that level. But he could still kill you with his legs if you leave him open. He still can run around and has athleticism to make plays in the backfield. I would say you could also compare Cam Ward to a Jalen Hurts. Hurts may be just a touch better as a runner than Cam Ward is. Maybe that's a touch too far the other way. But I think between Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, you'll find Cam Ward. So it's hard not when you see the toughness in the pocket and the size and the never say die attitude. It's tough not to make the Steve McNair comparison. And people outside of Tennessee, again, Dane Brugler isn't a Tennessee Titans person. He's talking to people around the NFL, and other people around the NFL who aren't affiliated with the Titans whatsoever see a little bit of a Steve McNair comparison with Cam Ward. So it's hard for that not to pull on your heartstrings a little bit as a Titans fan. But again, if we're talking about high-end upside, Cam Ward is the pick for me. Now, the second pick for the Tennessee Titans, this is a 2-round mock draft, and we're going to get into some more multi-round mock drafts for the Titans going forward, but it'll be an interesting decision that they make because the second pick for the Titans is Jack Sawyer, the edge rusher from Ohio State. And look, I'm a Buckeye. I'm born and raised in Ohio, lived in Ohio my entire life, went to college at Ohio University. Like, I am an Ohio boy through and through. And Jack Sawyer is awesome. He reminds me of a Trey Hendrickson. He reminds me of, let me think here, big, sturdy, physical edge. I don't want to say Danico Autry. That's not fair. He's not quite that big, not quite that athletic, in my opinion. But I think Trey Hendrickson, and I think at his best, at his absolute best, like a Cam Jordan type is what you might be able to get with Jack Sawyer. So I love going edge, and a physical edge at that. Somebody who could set the run or set the edge in the run game, which is something the Titans are sorely lacking with like an Arden Key. Getting Jack Sawyer, a player from a big program who's a good football character guy, who has had success, who has played in big games, who is productive. I think that makes a ton of sense. But I will say this. Cameron Williams, the young offensive tackle out of Texas, went 3 picks later to the Patriots. I would have a hard time passing on Cam Williams there. Also, Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, who is rocketing up draft boards right now, would be hard to pass on him. If the Titans were to trade Jeffrey Simmons this offseason, Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Ole Miss, went about 8 picks later. That would be a possible option as well. Like, there are a lot of good players right here in this mix for the Tennessee Titans who could make a ton of sense. So I think it'll be interesting, whether it be wide receiver, edge, offensive line. Where will they go there? Because, again, they're going to have some good options, and that's why having a pick this high, really, really important. But I do want to point out that Ariante, I can't say it right now, Irsay, the offensive tackle from Minnesota, I know I butchered that bad, but went 2 picks earlier to the Cleveland Browns, and boy, would that be an excellent pick for the Titans at offensive tackle. So the second round conversation is going to be almost as fun as the first round conversation, but that's a great pairing for the Titans. Cam Ward and Jack Sawyer. I would love that. But let's look at some mock drafts that don't take quarterback at number 1. Before I get into them, do want to thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen. Want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Look, from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and there are a variety of bets that keep every game exciting. Money line, spreads, player props, same game parlays, all of that. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite team or you're just looking for some added excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Doing a little mock draft Monday, our first of the offseason. We talked about the quarterbacks at the beginning of the show. Moved to a 2-round pairing for the Tennessee Titans that makes a ton of sense. I got some more insight on the quarterback position as well. But now I want to cap things off with 2 mock drafts that do go a different way for the Titans in the first round. No quarterback in these ones. Before I get into them, do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL. I host the Locked On NFL podcast, breaking down all the biggest NFL news every single week, Monday through Friday for free. You're not going to want to miss that, so make sure that you check it out. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. But looking at our first non-quarterback mock draft, we go to the sporting news. My Locked On coworker, Vinny Iyer, has the Tennessee Titans with the first overall pick, going with Travis Hunter. Colorado dual threat, cornerback, and wide receiver. Vinny says, quote, "The Titans will find it difficult to go in a different direction because of Hunter's immense, rare talent on both sides of the ball. He can play impact cover man in their defense and also provide some extra punch in the passing game when needed." Look, I love Travis Hunter. I think, quite honestly, Travis Hunter is the best player in the entire draft. So if the Tennessee Titans go Travis Hunter, am I going to be mad? Am I going to be angry? No. Now, I will tell you this. If the Titans take a non-quarterback at number 1 and don't trade down to get them, I will be a tad disappointed. There's no way around it. For the Titans to stick and pick at number 1 and not take one of the quarterbacks and not trade down, more importantly, that would be frustrating because it would feel like the Titans missed a golden opportunity to bolster their team and bolster their draft capital and do what they did in 2016 to set this team up for a nice run with a bunch of picks and a good role players and some stars and Kevin Byard and Derrick Henry. Like, I feel like that would be a disappointment if the Titans take Travis Hunter at number 1. But let me say this. Again, I think Travis Hunter is the best football player in the entire draft. And if the Titans left the first round with Travis Hunter, it would be hard for me to be too angry. I would just be like, okay, all right, makes sense. And in this mock draft for sporting news, the Browns don't even take a quarterback. It's Tetaroa McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, going number 2 overall to the Browns. So the quarterbacks really fall in this one, with Sheduer Sanders going number 3 to the Giants and then Cam Ward going number 6 to the Raiders. I could see that, but it definitely would be a disappointing outcome for the Tennessee Titans to not be able to get a trade back. Now, the last mock draft that I want to talk about here comes from CBS Sports. And my guy, Chris Trapasso, buddy, Chris Trapasso, what are you doing? What are you doing? With the first pick, the Tennessee Titans trade back. Okay, I like that. And they trade back to number 3 with the New York Giants. All right. I like that. But they take Will Campbell, the offensive lineman, out of LSU. What? With Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter and Sheduer Sanders and Tetaroa McMillan all still on the board, you're going to take Will Campbell? Look, Will Campbell is going to be a fine offensive lineman, but I see Will Campbell as a Zach Martin from the Dallas Cowboys, as a Peter Skoronski for the Tennessee Titans. Like, Will Campbell is going to be a guard at the NFL level. He has really short arms. Most NFL scouts, most media scouts have Will Campbell shifting inside. Now, the Titans have a need at right guard, but you can't take a right guard number 3 overall in this draft class. Will Campbell isn't going to play right tackle for you. The Titans have already said they want length out of their offensive tackle positions. They care about length, and Will Campbell has too short of arms. Also, even if Will Campbell didn't have too short of arms, Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter on the board, and you're going to pass for them to go offensive line for a 3rd straight first-round pick, you cannot do that. That is, look, Will Campbell is a good player, but that is a gross mismanagement of assets. You go to the grocery store of $50, you got to get a full list of groceries. You can't spend 40 of it on steaks, and then you only have $10 left for any produce or carbs or drinks. That's not how it works. Think about that. If you had a $50 budget to go grocery shopping for everything and you spent $40 of it on steak, that's what the Titans would be doing if they took 3 straight first-round picks on the offensive line. You cannot do that. You simply cannot do that. So, of all the mock drafts that we look at throughout this mock draft Monday, offseason drafts, that is the worst. Well, I won't say the worst because at least they traded back. But look what Trapasso said. They get 2 second-round picks and a 3rd-round pick. There is no way that I'm trading down to number 3, not getting a first-round pick in return, and taking an offensive lineman who probably needs to play guard. That is a disaster mock draft. What are we doing? Anyways, I just had to rant about that one with you guys for just a little bit. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.